So a couple weeks ago, I did a video talking about my 2019 season and kind of where my season had gone. One of the things that I talked about in that video was the fact that I had started doing some subcontracting. A lot of you guys left comments on the video and sent messages asking for a little bit more information on how I went about starting that and doing that subcontracting. One of the big things for last year for me was that I got into doing concrete work. So I was building everything from concrete retaining walls, sidewalks, patio extensions, all the way up to kitchens and waterfalls, all out of concrete. The biggest problem I had with that is, as Fall River, I don't have the manpower to do those projects by myself. So that's where I started looking at subcontracting. You guys already know that a lot of my subcontracting is with Blake over at It's His Turf. Blake actually has the manpower that I need and the equipment that I need to do these kinds of projects. So that's where we started looking at subcontracting and me subcontracting him to help me with those types of projects. Well, right out of the gate, as I came out of Stonemakers training, I ended up selling the largest job that I've ever done, which is a $25,000 backyard reno. So we ended up doing a walkway, a retaining wall, a kitchen, a small little sitting area, and then a waterfall. So this is kind of where our subcontracting began between the two of us. We had done a couple little projects before that, but nothing this big. At this point, Blake and I were kind of doing everything on a handshake deal, which actually came into some conflicts here and there because we had talked about things and I kind of thought one thing, he thought something else, and it caused a conflict between us. We started looking at it and we thought, we're building a friendship. Outside of work, we are friends. So that's where we started thinking about how could we do this to protect our friendship, protect our business relationship, and make sure that we're both on the same page at all times. And if we aren't on the same page, how do we go back and look and say, okay, this is what we said? And that's where a subcontractor agreement comes into play. So at that point, we went out and started looking for a subcontractor agreement that worked for us, and we didn't have any luck really finding that one that was kind of for lawn care and designed for us. So that's when we decided to build our own. Now, as a lot of you guys know, Blake and I started a business together called Turfing Tools. We have put that subcontractor agreement up on Turfing Tools, so if you are interested in that, make sure you go over there to turfingtools.com. There'll be a link in the description. It'll take you right over to it, and you can check out our subcontractor agreement. So throughout last year, I ended up utilizing Blake quite a bit. It was great having the manpower that he has and the equipment that he has, and to be able to subcontract him in. Now, I did work it to where I was on the job sites most of the time. There were a few jobs where I didn't touch them at all. So how these would work is I would actually go and meet with the customer. So like this one, the customer had a patio extension that they wanted to add on to the patio in their backyard. And I went and met with the customer and I kind of went over what they wanted. We used some paint and drew it out on the ground and kind of designed what they wanted. And then I went back and sat down. I kind of started figuring up cost and all that. And then I talked to Blake, figured out what his costs were going to be, and then figured out profit. From there, we were able to kind of work out the deal. It's where we would have put it on a subcontractor agreement. At this time, we were still doing handshake deals, but we worked out our plan, and that's whenever he sent his guys over to start the project. So I was communicating with the customer and communicating with Blake, and that way the customer would know when the guys were going to be there and when everything was going to begin. So the day that the project started, I let the customer know we were going to be on site. He sent his guys. Those guys took care of the project. And at the end of the day, I came over there and checked on the project to make sure that I was happy with everything and to let Blake know. I also met with the customer that afternoon and got the final payment on the job. So on that particular job, I was actually out mowing yards that day while these guys were there working. So I went out mowing, made somewhere between $600 and $800, and then went out there, picked up the final check, and made another $600 to $800 on that project. So to me, that was a really good day where I subbed that out, I made money, I didn't touch it, and Blake still made money, and his guys made a paycheck that day, and we got the job done for the customer. So if I could land jobs like that every single day, I definitely would, because those are kind of the perfect scenario. But a lot of times it turned into, you know, these great big jobs that I couldn't really take on, and I would sub him in and his guys would come. I would actually work alongside of them and tell them everything that needed to be done and get the jobs done. So for me, this just kind of worked out because I wasn't in a place with Fall River where I could start hiring employees yet. I wasn't keeping that consistent large projects like this going. Just here and there, as I would get the phone calls for them, I started to kind of take them on, where before I was turning them away. Now I know a lot of guys would say, hey, well, you're paying him and you're losing some of your profit. You're absolutely right. By paying him, I am losing some of my profit. But the problem with that is the fact that without him, without subcontracting him in and his guys, I wouldn't have taken on the job at all. So really, I wouldn't have made any money if I hadn't subbed it out. And with subbing it out, I was able to at least make some money off of that project. So to me, that's not leaving money on the table. That's actually making money where I wouldn't have been making money before. Now, one of the things I want you guys to understand is when you're the small guy like me and you're working with a large company like Blake, you need him more than he needs you. So what I mean by that is the fact that you're going to be subbing him out more than he's subbing you out, if he's even subbing you out at all. You just need to be prepared for that. And one of the reasons that I'm able to sub into It's His Turf is I went out and got trained in stonemakers, which is a trade that you have to be trained in to do. So with me having that ability, having that niche, it gives me the ability to be subcontracted by Blake to go out and do those types of projects with him. So that's the thing, is whenever you're working with a larger company like that, you have to have something that you're bringing to the table. For me, it is the stonemaker's ability, so I'm bringing that to the table to go out and work with Blake on those types of projects. Now, I have done some subcontract work with another smaller landscape lawn care company, kind of like the size of myself. It's like him and another guy. And they needed a little bit of extra help, and he subbed me in to come out on a project and help him out with that. Now, working with a small company like that, it's going to be more of that back and forth, where I may sub him out a couple of jobs, he's going to sub me out a couple of jobs, and it could actually be a really good relationship between those two guys if you kind of work out the logistics of it, have a subcontractor agreement worked out, and you two guys could actually make a lot of money working together on projects like that. So if you haven't thought about going out there making friends with some of your other landscape people in your town, it's a perfect opportunity for you both to make more money, to bring in more profit, and to have those jobs lined up, and the ability to take on jobs that you probably wouldn't normally take on just by yourself, just to have an extra guy to help you out to do those projects. So I would definitely suggest that you look into adding something like subcontracting into your business. It could definitely bring you in more money this season by doing that. So definitely take a look at that and see if it fits in with your business model and where you're wanting to take your business. So guys, if you have any other questions about this, please leave them in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.